Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. Today, before I get into the chess video itself, I had a few words to say. Today is Wednesday, the day before the U.S. holiday of Thanksgiving. And I noticed as I logged in this morning and checked out my channel that I had hit the milestone of 100 subscribers. So I want to say thanks to all those subscribers out there. Didn't really know when I started this channel if anyone would ever watch it besides friends and family. So it's nice to have have that feedback of people out there watching the videos. So I think in honor of this 100th subscriber here. Oh, by the way, the subscriptions fluctuate. So if it goes below 100, don't panic. The trend has generally been upward. I was going to try and make a video talking about the mechanics of YouTube, how to make a YouTube video, and also the economics. You know, what does it pay to make these YouTube videos? How much can you expect to get back? So you can look for that in the next few days. Since it is a holiday coming up, I don't know if I will be able to maintain my regular schedule of posting a new game every day, but just kind of see what happens. And so stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into the game here. So this was my Blitz chess game number 162. I was black, and my opponent played d4. So this is actually a really nice game. As I looked at it with the chess engine, there were no major blunders. So it's kind of interesting to see the strategy at play. And of course there are I would say minor mistakes, the kind of imprecision that everyone makes. Even experts and masters will make these kind of mistakes. Okay, knight f3. This is the way I play against the Slav. Basically, you want to clamp down on this square so that black doesn't have the option of playing the win-hour gambit. And then after knight f6, the standard move here is knight c3, but I also like to play e3, which is what my opponent played. You just don't have to worry about these lines where black tries to grab the pawn here and can get kind of tricky. Sometimes you can get a real mass of pawns on the queen side. So white is playing the way that I play. Up until this point, queen c2. I don't usually play this move. I usually play the normal move is knight c3. Looks like bishop d3 is the move here, but there's nothing wrong with the queen c2. It's just a different line, and he's prepared to take back here with either the queen or the bishop. But I don't want to take. I go knight bd7, and he goes b3, and now we're out of the opening book. You see white still has some opening advantage. It says bishop d6, a good move, which I played, and now knight bd2. And here I played the move h6, and I realized afterwards. So this is what I was talking about, these minor imprecisions. Actually, I take it back. No expert would ever play a move like h6 in this position, because first of all, there's no immediate danger of this bishop coming out to pin my knight. Right? There's a couple of pieces in the way. I was thinking. I'll tell you my thought process here. He can push the move c5, and I wanted to keep the bishop on this diagonal, so my bishop would retreat to c7. And when it's on c7, it's no longer in a position to break the pin. So I was playing h6 to stop that pin without taking into account the fact that I would have plenty of time to play h6 later. So anyway, this is just a weak move. And he goes to b2 anyway with his bishop, so it's now somewhat pointless. But not a blunder if you look at the evaluation, Swift. The change in the evaluation, it wasn't a huge swing. So the game continues with a slight edge for white here. And there was one other point I wanted to mention here, which is it's very thematic for black in these positions to get in the move e5 to liberate. And it looks like here is a really good time to play e5 instead of h6. So I eventually play e5 later. So let's get back to where we were. Rook e8, sort of preparing it. And now I push on with e5. And now the best way to combat e5, according to the engine, is c-take. So let's take a look at this. If he takes here first, one thing you have to watch out for is if there's a fork here, but that's not on because he's got enough force to take back. He's got the bishop, the knight, the bishop, and the queen all pointing at that square, and I just have a rook and a knight. So if I play here it just loses a pawn. So I take back in best case, and then he can grab here. And we get this exchange, similar to what happened in the game. But the difference is that I've got an isolated queen's pawn, whereas in the game I had the pawn on c6. And so this gives white some play for, some targets to attack. So that's the best way for white to play here. He immediately took on e5. So he played this way first. And we get a similar sequence with these exchanges. And I think this is probably good for me to get rid of that bishop, get rid of the pressure on the dark squares. And now if he takes on d5, I can take back with the knight, and that was my idea. So he played knight f3, hitting my rook. And at this point, I was looking at this move, rook h5. The chess engine can look ahead deep enough and decide that it's safe to play that, but it's difficult for a human player. You don't know if your rook is going to be good there or horrible. And it takes some, look, actually it dropped down in its evaluation after a while. Anyway, I decided to play it safe and just play rook to e7. But it's an interesting kind of move to look at. If you can get some immediate pressure, it can be worthwhile, getting your rook active like that. It just has to be played carefully. And now, here I guess I was jumping at ghosts a little bit. It looks like I can just go ahead and play bishop g4 and ignore this latent threat here. I was worried about ending up with a piece here which might get pinned, but if you look at the actual details, it's just not going to happen. So for example, bishop g4, he can take, try and create something. Now I don't take back with the knight because that might cause some trouble, but I take back with the pawn. And looks like this is a good position for me. It's interesting that this isolated queen's pawn position is viewed as favorable, maybe because I got this pin. Yeah, that wasn't it. This pin of the bishop. The knight is pinned against the rook, and I'm threatening to double his pawns over here. So you don't always have to be afraid of these isolated queen's pawn position, and sometimes it's the best thing to go for. And they're always double-edged in any case. Okay, but I avoided all that by playing my queen to e8. And now white has a slight edge once again. And I was maybe a little overly anxious here. I was worried about knight takes e6, messing up my pawns. But once again, the engine says not to worry. So look at this. Rook d8, knight takes e6, pawn takes e6. I could have tried playing with the rook. Is that true? I thought rook takes e6 was not possible because of taking on d5. But I guess that, no, it is possible. There's enough there's enough pieces in play to defend that. Okay, but it says actually my best move is f takes e6. And then e4, kicking the knight. And then a trade on d8. So this position, I've got an isolated pawn here, which is under attack and it's pinned. But the engine thinks there's no trouble. Queen d1, rook d1, queen c7. I guess there's no easy way for him to attack this pawn. He's already got the bishop on it, but how does he get another piece attacking it? So play would continue, and with slight edge for white. So my move here, knight b4, maybe a little bit adventurous. I was kicking the queen, and if he were to play a move like queen b2, queen e2, well, queen e2 is where he went. I thought he should try, hang on a second, I thought he should try a move like queen to c3, hitting my knight. And that forces my knight back to d5. I guess, though, this is still a good position for me. He can now take the bishop and mess on my pawns, but as we saw before, that wasn't such a big threat. Okay, so queen e2 is a fine move. And I exchanged to get rid of that threat on e6. And here, he sort of automatically took back with the queen, but it's slightly better to take back with the pawn. That controls, or helps control this central square, so my knight can't come back to d5. So I thought that was an interesting point. Okay, its rate sum is about even now, but something to keep in mind. Sometimes it's worthwhile taking on these isolated pawns if they accomplish some other strategic objective. Okay, so knight d5, my knight gets back to a good square, and I'm pretty comfortable here, and it says with rook e5 I should probably be equalizing. I played rook e6 instead, support on this file here, rank, and thinking of bringing my knight back to f6. So queen d4, which he plays, is a good move, and putting pressure here. I have to do something immediately about the threat to my g-pawn. So I play knight f6, says queen f8, maybe slightly better. Okay, knight f6. Anyway, white is getting some edge along here, and he's poking and probing with his pieces, he's attacking a weak pawn there on the b file, and then he comes in with his rook. Okay, so this is where it swings back in my favor. So rook d6 is not the best move. So queen f4, just continuing to maneuver with the queen, queen c4. So, there's no clear plan for white. He's just got to kind of poke and prod and try and look for weaknesses. This is a weak pawn here. I would be tempted to play rook to c1 here. Is that not a good move? Let's check it out. It says I can just play rook d8. I guess this pawn is adequately defended. Anyway, so no clear plan for white. But rook d6 seems to be a mistake, and now I should play queen f8, protecting g7 and hitting the rook a second time. Although the rook is defended, I decided to play c5 there, kicking the queen first. Still an okay move. Queen d2, back up. I'll cancel that. Queen d2. And then here I took. So it says I could continue with g6, harassing the knight. Yeah, g6 is interesting, removing one of the defenders of the rook. Okay, but I exchanged, and he took with the queen, and we're still in this range of about equal. Rook d8, queen c7, and rook d7. So that's interesting. So there was a swing there too. It says g6, harassing the knight is the way to go here. g6. Let's take a look at this. I thought after g6 he could just come in here and hit my queen. Queen d7. Queen takes, rook takes, and knight to c4. So this is interesting. I mean, this position looks, just completely even to me. 3 pawns and 3 pawns. He has 2 pawns and 4 pawns, and we both have a rook and a knight. And it's interesting that the chess engine favors black. And in the other line, yeah, after g6, knight takes h6 check was an idea. And now queen f4 defending the knight. I mean, he even wins a pawn here. Maybe I can harass the queen d7. Yeah, this is very mysterious to me that the chess engine would prefer this. Black has sacrificed a pawn, and I don't see the compensation at this moment. If we keep playing a few moves, f3, knight d5, hitting the queen and the pawn, queen to g5. Well, this would, not there, that would be bad. Queen g5, hitting the rook, and f6, harassing the queen. It says it turns out to be completely even. Pretty interesting. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't think of playing that move g6 here, because I would be giving up the pawn on h6 and no compensation that I can see, or not sufficient. Okay, so I played rook d7, just harassing the queen. Queen goes to f4, and now bring my queen out, defending here. There's always this tactic. If I play some casual move here, like say queen here, he can play. Oh no, I'm sorry, that defended the knight. I have to play a move that doesn't defend the knight. Let's see. Yes, if I move my rook here, that's probably a decent move too. But he can play knight takes h6 check, and if I take back, then the queen comes in here. So that's the tactic I was worried about at this point in the game. So I played queen e6 defending, And yeah, I wasn't sure that there wasn't at some point in the game where I'd actually left the knight hanging, but when I look at it with the chess engine, it seems like I'm always okay. H3, king H7. So somehow along here, black has started to turn the tables, and now the engine prefers black. And now if I were to play knight E4, I guess white has made some weakening pawn moves here in an attempt to get something going. And so maybe that's my advantage. So knight e4 or rook d2. I think rook d2 is a very logical move here. I would think of that. Knight e4 looks good. The knight looks good on e4, but I'm not entirely sure where it goes from there or how much it would do. But if I were to play knight e4, and then he were to kick it immediately with f3, the knight can come to g5, hitting both of these pawns. King to h1. And then rook d2. Yeah, okay, so this would be a nice way of provoking some weaknesses. So he doesn't have to play f3, but it just means then if he doesn't play f3 that my knight is secure in that square, and it's often annoying to have an enemy knight near your king like that. So yeah, knight e4, good move there. So I played g5. I was thinking, well, maybe I could harass his queen and take advantage of this knight here. I sort of missed out. Sort of a delayed reaction. The knight is secured by the pawn on g4, so harassing the queen doesn't really accomplish anything. Could he have gone somewhere else? Well, that's as good a square as any, I guess. Queen e4. Queen e4. And so what did I actually play? I played queen e4. There. Okay, I'm sorry, the wrong e4. Yeah, okay, so I was thinking, well, maybe I should just trade queens here. And if he does take, then I do get a good square for my knight, and my king can come into the game pretty easily. So slight advantage to white, but maybe a drawish game, really. So probably better to keep the queens on for me. And anyway, my opponent decides to keep the queens on. And I play knight d5, trying to get that in the game. And now he kicks my queen. And it's interesting, yeah, after that move, the evaluation has swung back to white's favor, so somewhere along here. Okay, yeah, so starting with this queen e4 line, the evaluation has swung back to white's favor. But f3, kicking my queen, I retreat. Queen d3, so now he's trying to get his pieces active, but he's threatening this pretty dangerous discovered check against my king. And if I walk away with my king, it leaves the h-pawn hanging. And I can't go to this square because the knight protects it. If I go to this square, I'm still in danger of that discovered attack. But I realized eventually that knight f6 defends the rook, and it threatens the queen. So now there's no real discovery. Any discovered attack with the knight is met by rook takes queen, except for knight here, right? Knight here is still a possible discovery. So that's with check, king g8. Yeah, so I can just walk away from that, and then this knight is pinned here. So that's a losing move. Okay, so yeah, so this knight f6 attacking the queen with my rook is a good move. The queen went to b5, and now I play rook d2. And so after this, finally the evaluation for the final time has shifted in my favor. And now he blunders, you know, there's an attack on a4 here. He blunders with the move queen to cancel that, queen to a4, defending and allowing the mate in one there. So let's back up, and that's how it ended. But even if he didn't play that, it says his best move is rook f2, trying to defend this way. And I have the move queen a1 check, because that lifted his rook off the back rank. King goes here, and then I can grab the pawn. And so I'm a pawn up, and if we trade down, this might still be a tricky position to win, but definitely black is has the advantage here. So that's how the game might have continued if he hadn't overlooked. So it went rook d2, queen a4, and queen h2 mate. That's how it ended. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.